Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to work on function notation. Equations that represent functions are often written in function notation, especially as we go on through the years. So you'd write it like this. If someone asks you to write in function notation, you're going to say f of x is equal to 4x minus 1. And notice it's very, very similar to the first equation. It's just you're going to replace y with f of x. And this is read exactly like that. We're going to say f of x equals, now I'm going to put a dot, 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 because in this case it equals 4x minus 1, but later on it may not. It's very dependent on the equation itself. Now f of x is in fact the output. And we know another way to express output is with the y value. And x is the input. Alrighty? Now, right here we have an example, and we want to find a value in the range for a certain domain. And this domain is -7. Remember, -7 is the x value. So I'm going to write this as f of -7. And then anywhere in the equation that I see an x, I'm going to replace it with -7. And that's all you have to do is substitute. So we're going to, again, rewrite f of -7. Remember, we're just saying y equals here. And now we're going to multiply 4 times -7, and we get -28 minus 1. And if I complete that equation and find the solution, it's -29. Now, as we do these, I don't want the math to trip you up. I want you to be able to find this process. Here, we're going to say, anytime we see x, we're going to put in a 5. So here we'll have f of 5 equals 5 plus 7. So f of 5 is going to equal 12. Now, I'm going to jump down to problem 3 because problem 2 is very similar to this one that we just did. We're just going to substitute -3 in for x. Notice that this says g of x. Well, that's exactly how you would say it, right? Instead of f of x, we say g of x. Down here, we're going to have h of x. Still, we're saying the same thing. And in this case, we're going to substitute x, substitute 4x with 9. So we're going to say h of 9 is equal to, and you remember on Wednesday we talked about fractions and multiplying them by whole numbers. So here I have h of 9 equals, and I'm just going to take this numerator and multiply it by 9. So 2 times 9 is going to give us 18 divided by 3. Keep the denominator the same, minus 1. So h of 9 is going to give us 6 minus 1, which will be 5. Let's see, I think well, this has a square in it too. So let's jump down to number 5, f of 5. So every time I see x, I'm going to put in 5. So just plug in 5 for x here. Here, I'm going to keep my negative sign. And here, I'm just going to plug in for x. Don't forget x. Remember, x has this exponent. Okay? So plus 6 times 5, and then we'll have minus 4. Now, don't forget the rest of that problem. Sometimes I do these and I forget there's more to it. So f of 5 is equal to -25 plus 30 minus 4. And here I'm going to say f of 5 is equal to -25 plus 30 is going to give me 5. 5 minus 4, 1. So that was pretty good. I think we should be all set with number 6. Number 7, Let's try it. Let's say -5, right? So we have f of -5 is equal to, I hate when the equal sign smushes, is equal to 2 times -5 squared. Remember, that's the part that's squared, right? The -5 is the part that is squared. So -5 squared plus 4 times -5 minus 9. Now, when we do these, you just have to be careful of your math. And again, if you can always use the calculator right now. I don't have a problem with that. And quite frankly, even if I did, I wouldn't know what you were doing. So we'll just keep it like that. So we have f of -5 is equal to -5 squared is 25. So I'm going to have 2 times 25 plus 4 times I don't want that to be a plus sign because a positive times a negative is going to be a negative. So I'm going to keep that as -20 minus 9. I'm going to go straight across here when I do my addition and subtraction just because it's going to be easier for me. I always multiply first, multiply or divide because you have to follow PEMDAS. So I have 50 minus 20 is 30, minus 9 is going to give me 21. I am going to do this next one, but don't freak out if you don't understand it because we haven't done any problems with absolute value, at least this year. So I just want you to be able to see. Remember, absolute value is the distance a number is from 0. And also, I would like you to remember that absolute value can never, ever, 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 ever be a negative number. And if you noticed, I kept my minus sign here and then I put parentheses to substitute and put -7 in for x, just like -7 was put in here. So now I'm going to have g of -7 is going to be equal to -7 minus -7 squared is 49, gives me an absolute value there. Again, g of -7. And I like to follow this process. Sometimes you all are just throwing answers in here. So I'm never able to tell, quite frankly, if you understand anything that you're doing. -7 minus 49 is going to give us a -56. I like to show my work. I know Mr. McHugh does, and I know Miss Morrison does. And when you show your work, it really shows what you know. So this is going to end up as a positive 56. Now I'm going to go down to the next page and I just want to show you one of these. So I think I'll do this one because this one seems a little more difficult. And this time, instead of just substituting one number in for x, I'm going to substitute an entire expression. So I am going to substitute 2k minus 5 every time I see x. So I'm going to have -9 minus, now remember, I'm going to substitute this in for x. And if you remember last year or even way back to the beginning of this year, we're going to do something funky here. And remember, I'm going to put in a 1 that's understood. And in this case, it's a negative. So let's just go back to green and we'll have blue, 2k minus 5 equals -9. Remember, I have to distribute here. So I'm going to distribute -1 times 2k is -2k, and -1 times -5 gives me a positive 5. So now I have h of 2k minus 5, which equals, what am I going to do here? -9 minus 2k plus 5. Oh, I have unlike terms here. So I think what I'm going to do is leave this as -2k. And when I combine -9 and 5, I have -4. And that's going to be my solution. I cannot combine anything else there. So that was pretty good. I love that question. Now, this is special because over here, we're going to use these three equations. So this says f of 4 plus 9, f of 4 plus 9. So what I want to do here is I'm going to use this equation. So f of x equals 8 minus 3x. So what do you think? I think I am going to say f. Actually, you know what? Let's just do it this way. Let's make life easy for us right here. Let's do 8 minus 3x, because I have to find this first, right? I have to find f of 4. So I'm going to say 8 minus 3 times 4, which is going to be 8 minus 12, which will give me negative 4. All right. Now, once I know about negative 4, I can now say negative 4 plus 9, which is going to give me 5. And that's going to be my solution. So this is like combining. This is a double, right? So let's do this one. Let's look at number 12. Number 12, we have negative 2 times. Now I want to find out what g of negative 5 is. So I'm going to use this equation. So I'm going to say negative 5 squared. And don't forget, I'm putting that whole thing in parentheses, negative 5 squared plus 2 times negative 5. All right, now that might look a little bulky or a little funny, but it's going to be okay. I still have negative 2 here times. Now, negative 5 squared is going to give me 25. This is going to be a negative, so I'm going to say minus 10. And now I'm going to have negative 2 times 15, which should end up being negative 30. I love these. These are kind of funky, right? Yeah, I think they're a little hard. They're a little more difficult than perhaps stuff we're used to. So we're going to use this equation because it says g of 4. So what you can do is you can write this equation first, x squared plus 2x, plus, I'm going to use this equation again, x squared plus 2x. Now in this half of the equation, I'm going to put 4 in for x. So I have 4 squared plus 2 times 4. Oops, that's rather ugly. 2 times 4 plus, now I'm going to substitute negative 1. So I'll have negative 1 squared plus 2 times negative 1. Looking good so far. So I have 4 squared is 16 plus 8 plus 1 minus 2. I hope that's right. So 16 plus 8 is going to be 24, plus 1 is 25, minus 2 is going to be 23. All right, so I'm going to leave the others for you to find out and see if you can figure those out yourself. In the meantime, I'm going to look at this word problem, and they're talking about anthropologists, and they use the length of certain bones of the human skeleton to estimate the height of a living person. One of these bones is the femur. To estimate the height in centimeters of a female with a femur length of x, the function h of x equals 61 and 41 hundredths plus 2 and 32 hundredths x can be used. Find h of 46. So we can do that right here. We can put h of 46 equals, and I'll take my shortcut now, 61.41 plus 2.32 times 46. Geez, even I would have to use a calculator for this one, Mr. McHugh. So I have 61.41. Again, ugly pen. All righty, we want to make sure we know that that's a 41. And I'm going to still keep H of 46 here. I like the way that looks. And then we're going to add to that 46 times 2.32. So when I do that, I should get 106.72. And again, H of 46 is going to be equal to 168 and 13/100. Now, that's a height, right? So this is how tall the female would be. Height of female. Now, does it tell us what we should be using? Is this centimeters or is this in centimeters? See how it says right here centimeters? So we're going to put this as centimeters. And it's the height of the female, which is awesome, right? This is the best part, this next part. I love this. F of -3, so easy, right? You know this is 0, 0, right? So go over 1, 2, 3, -3. What does the y value equal? No, here you would write -2 equals. Okay, let's do B. F of 1. So I'm going to start at 0, 0. I go over to 1. I go up. Guess what? It equals 2. And I think I made another mistake. God, I hate that. I just hate that. All right, this is going to be 2, right? Because f of -3 went up 2. Yes, it is. F of 0. Oh, my goodness. If x is 0, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to put equals 5. So it's just finding the x value, f of 2. And here, this is going to be -2. And if I make a mistake on this, you be sure to let me know. Because anybody who finds my errors, oh, they get extra points on things. So here we're looking for -4. So 1, 2, 3, -4. Up 2 is going to be equal to +2. And don't forget what we're doing here, right? This is the f of is the x value. So at 0, it's 0. F of 2, 1, 2, and down 2 is going to be equals -2. And lastly, if we go all the way over to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is going to be -1. If you have any questions on this, please feel free to ask. And I'll be giving you a worksheet shortly for you to complete yourself.